Objectively speaking, this is probably the best lemon fragrance on the market. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel, today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Acqua Viva by Profumum Roma. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords because they don't really help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. Here we are, just over the calendar start of summer, talking about another one of my favorite fragrances by the house of Profumum Roma. This brand has been growing so much to me. I have been developing this affection, this appreciation, this emotional attachment to the brand, which is very difficult to describe. And the fragrances are so simple, they're so direct, but the way they're created, the way they're put together, they just come across as endlessly nuanced. You can really stick your nose in these and really start picking up on so many details. It's an absolutely beautiful house. I love pretty much everything that the house stands for. It's a niche perfumery brand which is family run with very strong brand identities, very strong ideals. As the name suggests, the brand, the house is from Rome. Rome is their hometown. And if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you might know that Rome is also my city. I was born in Rome, I grew up in Rome, and I lived there until my mid-30s until I decided to move to Switzerland. This fragrance is one of the best sellers from the house. It's absolutely amazing. To me, it's pretty much the best lemon fragrance on the market today. It's just so photorealistic, so purely lemon. Absolutely incredible stuff. In one of my previous product reviews for the House of Profumum Roma, I think that one there was ETRO, I mentioned that the brand is heavily inspired by the smells in the environments around Rome. This is absolutely true. This fragrance though is not that. This is actually inspired by a sailing trip in the south of Italy, in the Mediterranean. I think around the Amalfi Coast, I think around the islands of Stromboli, the volcanic islands near Calabria, near Sicily. And according to the brief, according to the description on the website, you're sitting on this white sailboat off the Amalfi Coast under the most beautiful blue sky in perfect sunny conditions. You're sitting on this boat and you have this glorious breeze coming from the land, which is bringing in this scent of fresh lemons, fresh lemon rinds, and you're actually sipping on a lemon sorbet or a lemonade. It's an absolutely beautiful image depicting basically the dream vacation. I would totally be up for something like that. This fragrance is not necessarily photorealistically marine whatsoever. It doesn't have any marine notes. This is referring to the lemonade aspect, to that lemon sorbet. And maybe the air which is coming from the land is kind of depicting a little bit of the dry down, a little bit of the base notes in this fragrance. This is pretty much a lemon fragrance first and foremost, front and center. There's really no gimmick. And in the base, you get a little bit of woodiness. And in the description on the notes on the website, this woodiness is actually broom wood. It's a type of scent that I'm very familiar with. At about 10 years old, my family moved outside of Rome. They bought this house with a massive garden. The garden was pretty much in shambles. It had been abandoned for many years. And I specifically remember the vegetation that kind of took over the landscape being broom. And the garden being on a slope with the house on top. I specifically and distinctly remember looking down and seeing this field of broom and yellow flowers. It's a very rugged, hardy plant with long, thin leaves, kind of resembling giant pine needles. These leaves have a specific smell. They almost recall the smell of rosemary. They have this green oiliness to them, and this is kind of replicated in this scent. Well, mainly the oiliness, but also this very woody green substance in the base of the fragrance. It's absolutely glorious. As per other product by the House of Profumum Roma, this fragrance barely comes across as one. It's more of a smell. It's more of a photorealistic recreation of a smell. In this case, we're talking the most photorealistic lemon ever with a little bit of a slight woody undertone. Absolutely glorious stuff, but we're going to talk about the scent profile and wear experience after we cover the presentation. When it comes to presentation, I do feel that the products by Profumum Roma are pretty unique. The bottles look very unique. They're very different from everything else on the market. They have this utilitarian aspect to them, especially once you pick them up, that is difficult to ignore. It starts off from the cap, which is very light. It's this thin sheet of metal. It feels metal, but again, it's delicate. It feels a little bit cheap. And the cap is, again, it slides onto the atomizer. It's friction based. It doesn't have a great sound. It's like metal on metal scraping. Not that great. It's very utilitarian. The atomizer itself itself, given its utilitarian and function-based approach, works surprisingly well. It sprays a good amount of liquid. It sprays a ton of liquid, actually. Very good diffusion. But unfortunately, the haptics of the atomizer itself are very much mid. This feels like it feels like an atomizer from a hair product. It feels like a very cheap atomizer that you would screw on a bottle. And tagging on to that, it does effectively screw onto the bottle. These bottles here are surprisingly shipped without the atomizer installed, in a very similar manner to how the Serge Lutens fragrance are. And you have this cap on, and then you unscrew the cap, pull off the little plug, put on the atomizer, and then you're good to go. Let's give it a couple sprays to just illustrate what I mean. The atomizer itself has this really plasticky, gummy, crunchy operation. I really can't fault the way it works because it does spray a ton of liquid, but it does feel extremely, extremely cheap. Now, going back to the presentation, going back to the fact that the atomizer is screwed on separately, I just want to touch upon the fact that I think that these fragrances are meant to be used as a roll-on, because in the box, they actually supply a little 5 ml vial that is a roll-on vial. And together with that, you also get a little pipette to easily transfer the liquid from the bottle to this roll-on. These fragrances are insanely dense. They're basically 40% oil concentration. It's really amazing, and you can definitely tell when you spray this on. These fragrances all have this very, very dense, oily feeling to them, and it's unmistakable. When you spray a Profumum Roma on, you're definitely noticing that aspect. Going back to the presentation, talking about the bottle, I feel that the bottle is relatively high quality. It does, once again, feel a little bit utilitarian. It feels function over form, mostly. You can see manufacturing defects. You can see a little bit of the seams. It's not too horrible, because overall, I think that it looks fairly distinct. There's nothing else, again, on the market that looks like this. And I do really like the graphics. I really do like the iconic style of the bottle. Interestingly enough, on the back of the bottle, you also see a year. In this case, for Acqua Viva, it's 2006, and it refers to the date, the year that this fragrance came out. The other one that I reviewed, ETRO, came out in the 1990s, I think, and specifically Acqua di Sale, their more popular fragrance, came out definitely in the 90s. I'm not saying that Profumum Roma is one of those ancient houses that has been around for centuries, but they've seen their share of traffic, they've seen their share of years, and they've been consistently doing the same thing over years. I really applaud that. And that's what I meant by very, very strong brand identity. And speaking of that brand identity specifically, throughout the decades, the presentation has been remarkably stable with very, very little redesigns. I think that the only major redesign was the shift from the silver cap to the now black cap. Again, I really like the house, I really like their approach. They're very, very planted, they're very reassuring, and the fragrances are absolutely amazing. I've been wearing this as my scent of the day for many days just because it's so warm and it's so beautiful, and this scent is so evocative. Actually, evocative is not even the right word, because these fragrances are exceedingly simple. This one here specifically, this is basically a lemon scent, but when you put this on, you feel energized, you feel invigorated, you feel clean. It's absolutely amazing. We're going to talk about that later down the road. Topping off the presentation, I just want to mention something which is related to the fact that the atomizer is a screw-on. I wouldn't necessarily buy these secondhand because it's very easy to tamper. You can easily add liquid to this, you can easily dilute the fragrances. And unless you're buying from a trusted source, I would just avoid the thing altogether. I bought all of my fragrances new, except for Sorriso, which I bought secondhand from a trusted source, so I feel pretty confident. But if you buy at discounters, if the fragrance is sealed, it's absolutely fine. No problems there. Speaking of discounters, let's touch upon the price for these because they are quite expensive. I think that they're worth it, but we'll get to that in a sec. And interestingly enough, I think that one of the lowest prices that you'll ever find for these is in Italy from the official retailer, from the official brand, maybe in shop or on their site. If you take something like this is probably 190 euros retail, official. In Switzerland, if you go retail, this retails for about 270 bucks or even more. I got this in Switzerland from a discounter and I still managed to pay more than the official retail. The reason why I didn't get it retail specifically is that they don't ship to Switzerland, and if you would ship to Switzerland, you also have to pay taxes and all that bullshit, so I kind of avoided that. But still, they are pretty expensive. I've heard Eloise Scents talk about getting these for significantly cheaper in the US at discounters. I personally have no idea or first-hand experience on the availability availability of these at US discounters. So do your due diligence, do your research. And I feel that if you get one of these for about 150 bucks for 100 ml, and by the way, these bottles here are 100 ml, I think you got yourself a pretty good deal, and they have a good value for money. Even at retail, I think that these are kind of worth it because they smell super unique. There's really nothing else like this on the market, and they're extremely long lasting. They're very, very dense, and they do feel and smell high quality. These fragrances are definitely not for everyone. They're pretty much single note. The fragrance house is known for that. But if you're into more subtle scents, which are very realistic and very detailed, these ones are definitely worth a catch. But it's time to talk about the wear experience and scent profile for Profumum Roma's Acqua Viva. What does this actually smell like? As I mentioned before, this is a very easy scent to describe, especially in simple terms. This is a lemon scent. It's a straight up lemon scent. No frills, no gimmick, no nothing. I actually mentioned the term gimmick quite a lot when talking about citrus heavy fragrances, and this is due to the fact that the citrus molecule, the scent, the notes, whatever, they're very, very volatile. They evaporate super fast, and they lead to very poor longevity. Pure citrus scents are usually extremely fleeting. That is usually the case. This is extremely long lasting. And the term gimmick is referred to the fact that most citrus heavy fragrances that have long longevity, they actually boost that longevity with something in the base which is not citrus based. And one of the first brands that comes to mind when talking about this practice is the brand of Zesty. And I'm not being critical whatsoever. Zesty is a master at portraying fresh, natural smelling citruses, but their citrus forward fragrances all have a very dense base. They either have musk, they either have amber, they either have vanilla. They have something that elongates the longevity a lot. This one here is without gimmicks. This is a citrus top to bottom. Yes, it has a little bit of that woodiness, but it's more of a condiment to the scent, and it lasts a surprising amount of time. This is easily the longest lasting citrus scent in my catalog. It's the longest lasting lemon scent that I've ever tried. So how does the brand make the thing last so long? How do they portray citruses in such a natural, realistic way, yet giving them such excellent longevity? In my opinion, it all has to do with the concentration of the fragrance. These, as I mentioned before, are all very high concentration. They're pretty much 40% oil concentration. And this is a stark difference from other extracts which are on the market, which are flaunting the definition of extract. This one here actually feels very, very oily. And when you spray it on your skin, you basically get a sheen, you get an oil puddle. It affects the wear experience in more ways than one. I think it's beautiful, but it doesn't come across as very, very fresh. It comes across as oily. It feels oily. It feels slow moving. It's refreshing due to the lemon component because it's very, very sour, very tart. Yet it has this density to it, which is unlike pretty much any other citrus in my collection. I think that the brand identity itself really relies on this high oil concentration. It's one of the things that makes them so unique. They even give you that roll-on that I mentioned before in the box. These fragrances are so dense, they're so oily that they can be used like that. It's very, very unique. Again, this whole thing affects the wear experience in general, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Let's go back to the scent profile. There's not much to describe. It's really difficult to break it down because it is pretty much one note. It smells purely like lemon, but trying to deconstruct it a little bit more, or trying to describe the lemon a little bit more, it smells a little bit more rindy. It smells like a lemon rind. It smells very oily, as I said, obviously due to the concentration. It smells like the literal oils that come from squeezing a lemon skin, squeezing a lemon rind. It almost smells like a lemon rind that has been sitting on a counter for a little bit. It has dried up. It has been concentrated through the sun. It smells rich. There's something about this that comes across as syrupy. And not in a sweet way, because this scent is very, very tart. It's sour, it's astringent, it's mouth-watering, but it has this syrupy consistency to it. And the way it sits on the skin, it radiates its scent profile very, very slowly. It feels, and it also kind of smells like one of those oils that you burn in those ambient room diffusers. It has this viscosity to it, which is almost tactile. Going back to the lemon portrayal in here is absolutely incredible. Also, as I said before, this comes across as more of a smell rather than a fragrance. The other fragrances, which are lemon-based that I've smelled, all have something supporting them. Maybe some white flowers, some petit grain, maybe some other stuff. They all have this complex signature. This one here is very, very simple. It's basically a reproduction of the lemon smell. It's absolutely incredible. Some may say that it smells a little bit like a cleaning product. I completely disagree because of the sheer quality of the scent alone. There's no cleaning product that I've ever smelled that has this level of complexity. And the brand of Profumum Roma in general is very much known for portraying these single ingredients, these single notes in such a complex way with so many details, so many nuances. When you get close to the scent, you can really zoom in and you can start picking up on various facets of the lemon. In this case, it has a lot of rindiness, it has a lot of oiliness, it has a lot of tartness. They're all in different planes. Usually when you smell lemon as a note in a fragrance, it's pretty much a single thing. It's there, it's just lemon. Here, the lemon itself has sub-lemon notes. It's very, very unusual. I really want to underline the fact that these fragrances, these products really sell you the idea of being able to zoom into the fragrance almost to the molecular level, to really break down a note, a scent in its particles. It's absolutely insane. It's so rare to be able to experience a single note with this level of detail, with this level of fidelity. It's almost like watching something in 4K for the first time, or it's almost like walking around with a magnifying glass and being enamored and being inspired by simple things that you're very much used to, but seeing them in that form, seeing them with that detail is absolutely mind-boggling. This fragrance is so magical for that. And when you pull back and zoom out and you wear this fragrance for what it is, just wear it on skin in your day-to-day activities, you're enveloped by this beautiful aroma of lemons, the most realistic lemons that you ever smelled. Talking about the wear experience, I have to mention the transitioning and the evolution of the scent, or lack of thereof, because it really doesn't move, it doesn't really evolve whatsoever. This is very, very concentrated, and it's also a remarkably simple scent. As I said before, it's pretty much a lemon scent with a little bit of a woody backbone, and it comes at you all together. It's super slow moving, it's very, very viscous, and this aspect is also what is responsible for having the citruses detectable and very noticeable even in the deepest of dry down. It makes for pros and cons. Again, if you're after a scent which is changing, this one here is not for you. If instead you're after a citrusy scent which is stable, predictable, and citrusy and sour down to the dry down, this one here could be your candidate. Now, when it comes to tone range, this is pretty heavy. Again, probably due to the density, probably due to the oiliness. I would say that this sits in the mid-tone. It does have top notes because it's very sour, very zingy, very energetic, very tart, yet it has this body to it. It has this weight, which is very unusual for a citrus scent, very unusual for the citrus top notes of other scents. Interestingly enough, I think the slow-moving aspect of this and its incredibly predictable wear experience would make the scent a very good layering asset. You could probably layer this with a little bit more of a brighter citrus and have the ultimate citrus. It's really cool. I'm not into layering myself, but I thought about layering Profumum Roma fragrances just because of this aspect. ETRO also is a woody scent, which is absolutely glorious, but it's very, very base heavy. And adding a little bit fresher, something a little bit brighter in the top notes would enhance the dynamic range of these scents immensely. This is actually something that I need to try. Maybe adding a cologne style to this would make for the ultimate lemon scent. Really, really interesting. I think I would layer something like Cedro di Diamante by Peri Montecarlo, maybe some other cologne. It could be a really, really cool experience. Before shifting gears and talking about practicalities, I just want to quickly mention that wood note that I talked about being in here, the woody broom note. This woodiness is very, very faint. Don't expect anything like Tertermes, don't expect anything like Roja's Isola Blue. Those are pretty much 50-50 bright and dark. This is 95% lemon and 5% woodiness. The woodiness serves as not even a backbone because the lemon is so thick and so present. It serves more as a counterbalance flavor-wise. It gives the lemon something to hang on to. It balances out by being very bitter, by being a little bit ashy. And otherwise, without the wood note, the scent would probably come across as a pure lemon extract. And again, it's almost like that. This is still 95% lemon, 5% wood. I just wanted to mention it because some people might say, oh, there's a lot of wood in there. It's not necessarily the gimmick, but it's also different. It's not a pure lemon extract. Yes, technically there's wood. If you really dig deeper there, if you really wear the scent down to the dry down, I'm talking 12 hours down the road, you might start picking up on a little bit more woodiness. Right now, on my fresh sprays, there's nothing like that. But now it's time to talk about the practicalities for Acqua Viva by Profumum Roma, starting off with performance. Performance for the thing is absolutely amazing. The longevity is easily the best out of all of the lemon scents that I've ever tried, the pure lemon scents at that. It has insane longevity, especially given how fresh and tart it is. You can easily get 7, 8, 9, 10 hours out of this. It never really shouts. When you first spray it on, it's still kind of a skin scent. It's a very detectable skin scent at that because of its sourness, because of its tartness. In comparison to ETRO, which was a heavy woody scent, that when they're blended in with the skin a lot faster, this is very detectable because of its scent profile. But other than that, it doesn't really project much. It doesn't really fill a room or anything like that. The only Profumum Roma that really fills a room is probably Acqua di Sale, and I think that's due to the fact that Acqua di Sale, given the fact that it's a marine scent, has a lot of aroma chemicals in it. This one here smells very, very natural, it smells very lemony, and it just sits on the skin. It sits here forever. It doesn't really transition, it doesn't really evolve. The wear curve for this, the projection curve is absolutely magnificent, or rather, there is really no curve. It's super linear, and it just stays the way you spray it for hours and hours and hours. Really, really beautiful. The sillage is super beautiful, super detectable down to the dry down. You wear this and you're constantly smelling this beautiful lemon scent. Really rich, so dense, so beautiful, so invigorating, yet it wears kind of heavy. It's a little bit different from your typical lemon scent. And I'm saying lemon, but it could also be other citruses or grapefruit. If you take something like Hermès or Givray, the grapefruit in there is very, very fresh, almost glacial, almost airy. This one here lacks any airiness whatsoever. It's just very, very dense, pure lemon concentrate. Again, it wears like other Profumum Romas. If you like heavy scents, if you wear heavy, subtle scents, you'll like this a lot. When it comes to actual versatility in use cases, I do feel that the fragrances by Profumum Roma serve pretty well. This one here is no exception. Again, they come across as a smell rather than a fragrance, but they're so beautiful, so delicate, so subtle, and so refined that you can easily pull them off in pretty much every situation. It's kind of like wearing a very beautiful flower that really never goes bad. And that's the same kind of idea. This is just a lemon. You're wearing a piece of lemon peel in your pocket and you're just emanating this lemon fragrance throughout the day. Really, really beautiful. I think that this comes across as a little bit more daytime wear just because it's so energetic, so fresh, so zingy, so sour, and has that mouth-watering feel. And lemon is not necessarily something that I would associate to nighttime or to, I don't know, maybe a party or an evening. For a more evening event, I probably would go for something like Sorriso, maybe another Gourmand, something a little bit more sweet, maybe even something woody like ETRO, a little bit darker. This scent has very, very little sweetness. It comes across as naturally sweet, but upon initially smelling this, you're not going to be thinking sweet. You're going to be thinking sour and tart. It's completely different. I think that this is absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous, it's elegant, it's subtle, it's very simple. I like simplicity, and sometimes I really want to go for scents like this. This is still not my preferred scent profile. I do like a little bit more of an artistic and narrative approach, but sometimes stuff like this perfectly hits the spot. I think that unless you really despise lemon, you really hate citruses, and you associate lemon to cleaning products, this is a very, very safe like. It's a very easy thing to pull off. It just comes across as beautiful, fresh, clean, well put together. It's absolutely glorious. I even wear this a lot in the gym. In the gym, the heat from the body really makes the scent bloom, as in most exterior perfumes. It really comes off the skin blasting. It's beautiful, it's wearable, and again, it's super clean. It's very, very specific. Again, don't expect a bro scent whatsoever. This is pure lemon concentrate, pure lemon rind. When it comes to demographics, this is completely abstract. It's very artistic in its simplicity. Anyone can pull this off. It's again pretty much a smell rather than a fragrance. So there's really no gender association. There's really no age. Anyone can pretty much wear this and pull this off. You have to be a fan of lemon. You have to be able to just embrace the simplicity of this. I don't think that it's necessarily for the youngest crowd. I do think that it's exciting because it's a very beautiful rendition of lemon, but it might come across as too simple, maybe too boring. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I like this a lot, and I highly recommend it for pretty much anyone. Imagery and narration and the brand of Profumum Roma don't really mix well together. Yes, I've talked in the past about how ETRO really transports me to that forest, to that pine forest outside of Rome, but that is so specific to someone like me who has lived in Rome and probably is not even there anymore. The brand itself is very, very good at portraying details, and just looking at the fragrance almost at a microscopic level, they don't really evoke any sort of imagery. I really like the brief of this. I really like the idea of sitting on this boat, sipping this lemon sorbet or lemon lemonade, looking at the Amalfi Coast and getting this beautiful breeze, but it's not necessarily transferred in the scent profile itself. I appreciate it, I appreciate the inspiration, but it just doesn't work for me. This doesn't bring me anything except for maybe the most photorealistic idea or image or photograph of a lemon or of a basket of lemon. Maybe a basket made from broom, maybe a dry broom basket with some beautiful Sicilian lemons in there. That could be a good image, but is that even narrative? Not really. It's really just showing me an image, and it's more of a photograph because it's so hyper-realistic. There's zero artistic interpretation. There's not really much to be said. These were all pretty much the same. They're all very, very beautiful. They're photographs of things, and it's so unique. I really do like the approach. On the positive flip side though, these scents are very easy to wear. You can just push them into the background. They're not distracting, they're not fatiguing. They're just so easy to pull off. They make for excellent seasonal signature scents. Quickly speaking seasonalities, because I realized I haven't touched upon that. This scent here is pretty much summer leaning for me. It does really reflect, it does evoke the idea of summer. When I do wear this in the winter, it's because I want to be reminded of summer. I want that summer air, that summer idea, that summer concept. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, we're at the part of the video where I showcase some options for my reviewed fragrance. In the case of Acqua Viva by Profumum Roma, I wanted to showcase some underrated, really good citrus scents. The first one that I want to showcase is probably one of the best citrus scents that I've ever smelled, one of the more realistic citrus scents ever. This one here is Respiro d'amore by Note del Chianti. I bought this relatively recently. I got it in April while I was on vacation in Tuscany. I bought it in the Chianti region in Siena, so this is extra special to me. It smells exactly like the air there. Glorious. It smells beautiful. It has this citrusy effervescence, which is a little bit tart, zingy, a little bit bitter, absolutely glorious. And despite it being a parfum, it's really bad in longevity. It's basically a 2-hour scent. It wears like a cologne. It wears so fleeting, but at the same time, I can't really fault it. It just comes across as incredibly natural. And interestingly enough, if you look at the notes for this, you have citruses, yes, obviously, but you have also Imagery, which is probably responsible for that effervescence. Then there's also this white wine accord. Really, really interesting. It's probably adding a little bit of sourness and acidity. It's like that drop of vinegar in a perfect salad, giving it so much richness and density of flavor. This is absolutely glorious. In here, in the base, you also get a little bit of woodiness. It's slight because this is a very, very light scent, but it comes across as vetiver-like, a little bit ashy, very dry. This scent is absolutely magnificent. I wear this not necessarily in a functional way because again, the longevity is absolutely terrible, but I wear this to start my day. I wear this when I'm at the computer at home. I just want to feel good. This is so invigorating. I don't necessarily recommend the House of Note del Chianti because, well, they're not really easy to get by, but they're also quite pricey. This one here is 150 bucks and it's 100 ml, but again, the longevity of 2 hours is not really something that I can cope with on a day-to-day basis. And this is coming from a person that is not too longevity obsessed. I'm not too fussy about it, but objectively, when you talk about a functional fragrance, 2 hours is just not enough. The second fragrance that I want to talk about is one of my favorite citrus scents ever. It even made it in my top 10 fragrances of all time video. This one here is Summer of '84 by Kerosene. I've talked about this extensively. I love this fragrance. It's pretty much the perfect rendition of a grapefruit fragrance. It's so tart, so glacial, so fresh. It's basically unbeatable in that regard. You put it on and it's like a jolt of lightning. Absolutely amazing. The interesting thing about this is that it's actually fairly long lasting, despite it being very fresh and fairly natural smelling. It's probably due to the fact that John Peck found maybe some aroma chemical which is very much grapefruit-like, and he's leveraging that extensively. This lasts a surprising amount of time. The excellent longevity is also probably due to the fact that this scent transitions from this beautiful rendition of grapefruit to this musky sweet melon. absolutely glorious. This is basically symbolizing the young years of John Peck's life as a kid in Detroit. He was eating popsicles, he was eating melon candies. It's an absolute joy. This is such a joyful fragrance, actually. Joy is the thing that comes to mind with it. It's such an optimistic scent that really fills me with wonder. It really fills me with curiosity and transports me into the shoes of a kid. I was born in summer of '84, so I'm not necessarily relating to John Peck's childhood, but to me, this really brings me to those coming of age movies. I always reference this, but every time I smell this, I think about the movie Stand By Me. It's absolutely glorious. I love this scent. It's so evocative. It's one of the few pure citrus scents that are so narrative to me. I don't know what it is about this, but I really connect with the scent profile. It's absolutely amazing. This gets one of my highest recommendations. It even beat out Acqua Viva in terms of scent that made it into my top 10 list. It's just that good. The last fragrance that I want to talk about is definitely a little bit different. This one here is by ETRO and it's Messe de Minuit. It's different for a couple of reasons. One is because it's much darker than the other ones, and also because it's much sweeter. The citruses in here are very front and center. They're definitely the protagonists of the scent, but they're probably more along the lines of oranges and mandarins. They're much sweeter. They're much more pulpous. The second difference is that this is darker due to a heavy incense note. It's a strange combination, citruses and incense, but the incense note in here is not churchy at all. It's much more festive. It's much more smoky in a white smoke sort of way. It has a drying component. This scent comes across as dense, yet it's not oily. It's very, very dry on your skin. It cleans up really nicely. And it's so beautiful because it's realistic in its citrusy component, but it also gives you this transportative aspect. It really brings you to like a town festival or a town fair. And I feel that the name itself is really not conducive to the scent profile whatsoever, unless I'm missing something about a midnight mass, because Messe de Minuit means midnight mass. That being said, going back to the festive atmosphere, this is really, really pretty. It almost smells like cotton candy. The citruses really blend with this smoky aspect, creating this cloud of sweetness. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's surprisingly long lasting. It almost has a little bit of syrupy denseness to it. It's really surprising. I've been wearing it quite a bit lately just because it puts me in such a good mood, but interestingly enough, the wear experience is very different from the summer to the winter. In the winter, it came across as much brighter, much more crisp. In the summer, it has this syrupy component to it. It adds a lot of sweetness, and this is where I got the image of cotton candy. This is where I got the idea of this air, which is very fair-like, which is very country fair, which is filled with cotton candy, roasted nuts, just sweetness in general. It's absolutely beautiful. And every time I wear this, I almost picture this image of this road filled with people slowly walking by across the stalls. In the background, there's kids laughing. There's a lot of colors. There's just a lot of joy in the air. Highly recommended if you like the idea of citruses and incense. If you like incense, if you want a sweeter take on incense, if the concept of a white wispy smoke with a little bit of a candy component to it is appealing, be sure to give ETRO's Messe de Minuit a try. It's absolutely beautiful. But let's go back to Acqua Viva by Profumum Roma for my final recommendations and overview. As you may suspect, I'm a sucker for this scent. It's absolutely glorious. For whatever reason, the lemon in here is absolutely beautiful. It's so captivating, and I'm not even a lemon fan. I like citruses, but this one here really caught me off guard. It's so rich, so detailed. I like the artistry in here, or rather, not the artistry, maybe the craftsmanship in here, because it's a depiction of lemon beyond everything that I experienced before. The house itself is absolutely amazing. I like what they stand for. As I said before, I really like their ideas. I like that they're so planted and so resilient, and they don't really follow trends. They have their own thing going on. They probably have their own clientele. Really, really great stuff. That being said, as much as I'm a fan of this, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it as a blind buy. It's really not safe. It's such a particular thing. It's so specifically and unapologetically lemon. It's lemon to a degree that you're not expecting it. It's very, very beautiful. I love it. I would definitely recommend sampling it, maybe getting a decant of it. As per the other fragrances by the house of Profumum Roma, I think that they're totally worth attention. I'm not sure how available these are. Anyway, just to close this off, the house is great. Super high quality. Very interesting take on perfumery, very high craftsmanship. If you're into detailed one-note fragrances, this one here is basically a no-brainer. Let me know down below if you have experiences with Acqua Viva or any other fragrances by the house of Profumum Roma. I'm eager to hear your comments. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more fun reviews on the horizon, many more fun scents to bring you. I'm very, very excited for this channel. See you in the next one, and cheers.